Today I'm talking about why Kawai digital pianos have the best value for their action. Stick around. Hi, this is Ted Barsula with Alamo Piano Galleries. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions or comments, particularly about the actions, go ahead and list those here. I'll probably have to do some homework. I'm doing an overall presentation. And also, if you want to shop any of these piano actions in their product casing, look for us at alamopianogalleries.com and look for some Kawai digital pianos and find out which kind of action is in which kind of model. Which is sort of how I wanted to present these kind of as the entry line, the intermediate, and then the top of the line kind of actions. And what do you really get? And hopefully, our B-roll will show you some of the details, but for the most part, a regular piano action from Kawai. I just unboxed all of these, and some of them have different names and they're different types, which is pretty cool. This is called Responsive Hammer Compact Action. And it is kind of like, when you look at it, it's kind of a no frills plastic action, and it has weighted, it is probably graded hammer because it looks like they have different numbers on them. So it is a weighted action. You're going to find these probably in like the ES 110 type of instruments. They're low line portables. And the next action, I believe, up from here is what they call the Responsive Hammer Action 3. And the trigger board is actually at a bit of an angle, so it's going to emulate a little bit more of the contact, mostly geared toward kind of having like a slight angle instead of just a hit on, so they can probably tell the difference between when the top and the bottom signals are hit, so that will trigger what kind of response the note is going to make. On here, this one has an ivory touch, and it also has a counterweight at the top so that it's not overly heavy to lift this lever arm on the bottom. And the sensor is what I was talking about, is placed at an angle of probably about, 10 or 12%, as opposed to just being flat horizontal. And then they're also in the back side, you can see the hammers, and they do have different numbers on them for different weights. The next action I want to show is the one that has wooden keys. This is really important. A lot of the more serious piano students and their teachers want their students to be practicing on, ideally they want them on an acoustic piano, preferably a grand piano, or some kind of digital piano that has, usually they're going to ask for weighted keys, graded hammer, or as they progressed for wooden keys. And you can see that the entire key length here is made out of wood, and that the counterweight and the bridge, the balance pins are all made like a real piano key with the components built in around them. And this has an upper lift hammers, and they're all weighted and they're graded from being heavier at the bottom all the way to the top. This one actually has like a nice ivory top feel, and kind of like a little ingrained little bit of a wood feel on the black keys as well. The next action I have here is the Grand Feel 3. This one is more detailed, and you can tell that the key is a lot longer. It's actually a bit more at an angle than some of the others. It's a lot like a grand piano action in how it's structured. The weights are on top of the key. So from the fulcrum point, it's a lot like playing a grand piano because it does have the same type of, you can feel the extended lift at the end of the key. And it also has the sensor is built right up on the top there where the hammer hits. So the sensor's in a different spot on here than it is on the compact actions. This really emulates a lot of the same feel and type of playing, I guess, touch, a response, and also the inspiring and emotional part is very similar to a grand piano. And this type of action you will find on the CA901 type of upright piano, digital. And in the NV5S from Kawai, you actually have a true working upright piano action that has these triggers built at the other end of it. And of course, on the NV10, you have a real working Millennium 3 grand piano action inside of that. So there's two real actions on the top of the line, both the upright and the grand model, and then the other keyboards are going to have one type of these actions that I just presented, based again upon the price of the unit and where it fits in, whether it's an entry line, intermediate, or a more advanced instrument. And how do they sound? How do they play? They're all supposed to play the same. For the most part, a lot of them have the SKEX rendering in their sound card catalog. And one of the things I have noticed is that if the action is different, you literally think that the playing is different. I was talking a bit about how the difference in feel creates in the player's mind a different in response and touch, and also inspiration and creativity in playing that instrument. So what we're going to do here is, at Liberty, we're going to go through our library and find some digital piano samples from Kawai with different kinds of actions and put them in here, and just to see how the SK rendering comes across. Now, they may all kind of sound the same, and they all may even kind of look in generally like a piano looking thing, but I'm telling you, when you play it, it's the feel. And when you're out shopping for a digital piano or an acoustic piano, you have to let your own criteria and judgment of the feel, whether it pleases you or not please you, regardless of what salesman may be barking in your ear. Let your own ear, hand, touch, and heartbeat and be the guide for what you think is a great sounding playing piano, because you're the one that's going to be practicing on it and you're the one that's going to be playing on it. Kawai offers, for their value, and I've often found this to be an incredibly true statement that I heard from a non-Kawai dealer one time. He said, in terms of digital pianos, if you're looking in groups of price ranges within $100 or $200 of each other, there's a lot of competition out there, but for the most part, in its dollar range, the Kawai pianos, digitals, are always going to sound more realistic and play more realistic than any other digital piano on the market. And that seems to be a bold statement, but I go out there trying to find that it's not true, and sometimes I find that it's got some really, really tough competitors. But as far as it being an untrue statement, I'm not 100% sure that the jury is back on that one yet. And until you have some questions or comments, or you have some responses to post, I encourage you to go out and play some different level Kawai digital pianos. And of course, the NV10 and the NV5 have actual working piano actions in them. And all of the other models that are a little bit less in price are going to have some kind of assimilation of what I showed here today. And I'll be looking for your questions and comments. And until then, I will remain Ted Barsulu with Alamo Piano Galleries. We'll be looking for you to shop our store online and have a festive, happy holiday season. We'll see you soon.